Tonight, the top story in Washington is a type of surrender. Everyone knows what happened at the January 6th insurrection. Over 400 people charged for the range of violence and attacks on the Congress itself. And while any such violence is wrong, full stop, that effort targeted Democrats and Republicans alike. U.S. leaders traditionally unite in response to these tragedies. And sometimes even new solutions are forged. I want you to keep that in mind tonight. Recall there was a bipartisan commission that investigated every aspect of the 9/11 attacks, all the ways to prevent it from ever happening again. But today's Republican Party, in its MAGA form, is politically opposed to that kind of fact-finding right now. And that's revealing. GOP leader Kevin McCarthy is now formally opposing any January 6th commission for such an investigation as, quote, duplicative and potentially counterproductive, drawing rebukes today from top Democrats.
I'm very pleased that we have a bipartisan bill to come to the floor, and disappointing but not surprising that the cowardice on the part of some on the Republican side not to want to find the truth.
It's hard to take Kevin McCarthy seriously at this point. I don't know what Kevin McCarthy is afraid of.
If the Republican leaders are just going to throw their lead negotiators under the bus, why do they even participate in negotiations at all?
All fair points. And I want to tell you tonight, this is more than some Washington squabble. This is a line in the sand for where the Republican Party formally stands regarding the worst attack on the Capitol in over a century. And while some debates do involve genuine disagreements about what happened, and when that occurs, we'll tell you politicians have some possibly genuine difference of opinion. But we happen to know from the public record that Mr. McCarthy himself personally thought Trump was responsible for the attack, as he said on the House floor. We also know that he was aghast in the moments on January 6th that the thing was still unfolding and the danger was still there. He even called into Fox and condemned the violence unfolding in real time before his eyes and ours on all our television screens. Do you know what he called it that day in real time? He's a politician, sure. He knew he was on record, sure. But he was also a person in a building under attack and siege, not knowing what would happen next or where it would go. We checked. That day he called it, quote, un-American. And he said, addressing those rioters through Fox News, quote, this is not the American way. So that's what he felt in the moment and what he said publicly. Now, there are also reports McCarthy was so concerned privately during the attack that he privately used his access, his power of a sort, to call President Trump and personally lobbying him to do something more during the insurrection. It was reported the call did not go as planned. McCarthy did not get a receptive audience. Indeed, it's reported that Trump at one point seemed to invoke the attackers' violence as a kind of threat. The exchange described as heated and not cordial, according to high-level sources. Now, those are reports. A full subpoena-backed investigation can get far more information, context, corroboration, and facts under oath about all of this. It's important stuff. It could even get it from a witness like McCarthy himself, but he's dodging about whether he will cooperate. Now, McCarthy famously dropped his Trump criticism as the weeks wore on, and he got distance from his initial reaction that day, burning up the airwaves, calling Fox, calling the president. He went down to Florida in that now famous photo showing his fealty to Trump. This image encapsulates the end of the Republican Party leadership's brief experiment with a kind of post-Trump independence that lasted through part of January 2021. This commission bill is set for a House vote tomorrow, and it is expected to pass because of the power that the Democrats hold. Minority Leader McConnell breaking with McCarthy today, saying, at least publicly, the stance he wants to offer quite different from his Republican counterpart, saying he is open to working with Democrats in the Senate to try to do something on this. It's quite a contrast in a party that remains increasingly fractured.